Howdy, roofers, and welcome to Roofer Growth Hacks, the podcast that's dedicated to highlighting those in the roofing industry, learning how they overcame growth challenges with the creative growth hacks, and connecting them with others in the roofing industry. I'm your host, Chris Hunter, founder and chief marketing officer of roofingsites.com. I'm also the author of The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. Well, I got a little story for you. Today, I chatted with Mellisa and James Parker with Pro Roofing in Tallahassee, Florida. Since starting in 2017, they've grown fast by building really smart systems that you'll definitely want to hear about in this episode. Their journey's packed with lessons on leadership, growth, and really what it takes to stand out in a competitive market. So be sure to listen up. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mellisa and James, for coming on to Roofer Growth Hacks. I really appreciate it. You guys are honestly my first client to come onto Roofer Growth Hacks. When I first started this, the intention was to bring some clients on and bring other people in the industry, but y'all are the first ones that said yes. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited. See what's in store.
Yeah, we're happy to be number one.
There you go. Exactly. All right. So, why don't we just start from the beginning? Why don't you tell our audience, for Roofer Growth Hacks, where you started. Tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Tell us a little bit about Pro Roofing and where you guys are now.
Okay. So we've been in business for about 8 years now. We started, our first job was in April of 2017. We started the previous year getting incorporated and kind of getting things handled and situated, but we really didn't start official business until April of 2017. When we first started, we knew the industry, obviously, but running a business was definitely challenging when you don't know what you're doing. So we had a couple $100, a couple workers that we pulled together, some old tools, and a borrowed trailer.
A landscaping trailer at that.
Yeah, landscaping trailer at that, not even a dump trailer. So we really just pushed and worked to try to get where we are today. And we're happy to announce that we just moved into our second office location. We just purchased it back in September, and we have now a 12,000 plus warehouse and office space on almost 12 acres. So we have plenty of room to continue to grow, plenty of room to store all of our new advanced equipment that we've been able to purchase to make our customers experience the same, no matter who the customer is.
Love that. Love that. So, all right, digging into that a little bit, what made you make the jump into entrepreneurialism and start your roofing company?
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably say we both were actually working in the roofing industry, and I think that, and I won't speak for James, but he was out in the field doing superintendent work, and kind of was like, I want something more, and he was kind of not able to get that where he was. So that was kind of the start of that conversation that we started having about branching out. So really, it was his idea. And we just took it from there.
Awesome. And I know that's a huge jump. I mean, honestly, to go from a job, a job, right, to entrepreneurialism, owning your own business is a huge, huge jump and a huge leap of faith. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right. So here we are, a lot later, right? 2017 to now, almost a decade here, right? What would you say is the one thing that you guys have learned along the way, about your business, about being in business in this almost, 10 years, that would be helpful as an entrepreneur?
Well, another great question. I would probably say, over these past couple years, I would say that having a business coach is something that is important, and that still rings true today. But I would say more importantly now, our business coach has taught us the importance of strategic marketing and getting in front of our audience, who our audience is, because they're unique to every industry. They're unique to the roofing industry in different markets. So just knowing who your people are, where your people are, how to get in front of them is hugely important for any success. So I would say a combination of having a business coach that holds you accountable, but then have strategic marketing, a plan that gets you in front of your customers. So then you can do what you've learned through business coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear, I mean, I interview a lot of coaches in the industry, right? From all the way from coaches that are helping entire businesses grow to sales coaches to, what would you say has been the most instrumental on the coaching side of things, right? That has really helped you guys move forward?
I'll let you have
I think the testing and measuring probably. Yeah. You can try a million things, but you don't know what really sticks. Sometimes you find out later that, well, that helped, but you never tested it, measured it to see how far it helped and what you could have done better.
Okay. All right. Testing,
I would
measuring.
probably say to add, testing and measuring, and to add to that accountability, having, whether it's we're in business together, so we hold each other accountable when there's a task at hand, but our business coach does too. We have biweekly meetings where he gives us homework and we have to do those tasks, and he holds us accountable for that.
Love that. Absolutely love that. What's been the hardest task that you guys have had to, do that he's given you homework for?
Man. I'd probably say a lot of it is like the back end paperwork stuff, like a lot of people start a business and don't get their policies and procedures and their handbook and all of those things in place because you put the cart before the horse. So a lot of that just kind of going backwards, and we had already had a business. We had already been in business for a couple of years, and kind of going backwards and saying, well, what do we want for our policies and procedures? It wasn't a hard task. It was just a long, tedious task that took a lot of time.
Yeah. How long did that take? Just curious.
Man, I would probably say from beginning to end, I'd probably say a full year, and we're consistently, editing it because processes change. We have more people. So, the tasks are divvied up amongst other, 3 people versus 1 person now. So,
it's forever changing.
Yeah. Forever changing.
Yeah. All right. Love that. Yeah. And it's a never ending task, right? Ever. You always have to continue, go back and sharpen that sword a little bit each time, right?
Right.
So what would y'all say has been your biggest challenge, right? Since 2017, what's been your biggest challenge, and how have your core values helped y'all get through it?
Well, I'd probably say, our biggest challenge, maybe just the continued growth. I mean, we've been very thankful and blessed, by creating a process and having our customers have the same experience. So we have a lot of return customers, and so we've grown substantially from that in a short period of time. So I think that even though it's a good thing, it still posed its own challenges, because do I hire people or do I wait? Like, that's a vital question that you ask sometimes, because you're kind of teetering on that. You need extra help, but you don't have the money. So I'd probably say that's been one of the biggest challenges. And then, we do have 12 core values that we have displayed in our office that we ring true from up here where we are all the way down to the bottom. And I think that those just being displayed and having that good environment, positive environment, everybody's here to help each other, has really kind of what has just pushed us through the challenges.
Love that. Love that. So I want to dig into a little bit of your company too, because, I talk with roofers every single day. I mean, every single day I talk with them, 4 to 5, whether they're our clients or whether they are, people inquiring to us on how we can help them, kind of a thing. Right. So one of the biggest things that I see as an issue with when you hire a marketing company is sales, right? Do you have the proper sales systems in place, right? So let's talk a little bit into your specific setup, right? Who does the back office, like sales, initial like appointment setting, and who does the the follow up, after the fact of, as the sale progresses into each stage?
So, when the call comes in, we have admin staff that handles those calls. Light, friendly voice answering the phone, takes that information, sets those appointments. Mm-hmm. And then we have I hope I'm answering the question correctly, but we have we have a sales rep that goes out, meets with the customer, explains everything that they find on their roof, gets up on the roof, does their assessment, and then we do the estimates in-house and send those out to the customer. The estimator does the initial follow-up just to ensure they got their estimate. Do they have any questions? And then the office takes it over from there and continues to do follow-ups.
Okay, so like 3 to 4 people are in this whole sales process at least, sounds like, right?
Yes, I would say yes, definitely.
Okay. And what was the first piece that y'all added as you guys were growing?
Admin staff. So we added our outside of field staff that are needed to do the work. When we got big enough, an admin person was the first person that we hired to alleviate that task from myself, so I would be able to focus on other things.
Awesome. And just out of curiosity, are you doing any of those type of tasks anymore? Setting appointments, following up, or any of that kind of stuff?
No,
you're just managing the back office folks and really the whole process.
Right.
Okay, that's awesome. And that frees you up, right? Obviously, that frees you up to work on the business versus in the business.
Yes, which is a thing that our business coach taught us early on, is that you have to have that balance. It's almost like you have to have a work personal life balance. You have to work on your business as much as you're working in it, or at least a good comparison.
Absolutely. And one of the coaches that I just interviewed, Dr. Attaway, talked about that exact thing, except he called it margin. You have to have margin in your business. You have to have margin in your life to be able to be creative, because that's what that creates, is that creativity. Awesome. So do y'all have, I talk about this all the time on, Roofer Growth Hacks and my other podcasts, Aggie Growth Hacks, in entrepreneurial operating system, there's a thing called your big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years, your BHAG? So what's y'all's BHAG?
Obviously just to continue to grow. The sky's the limit when you own your own business, is as much as you're willing to push and as much as you're willing to show up and be consistent and be determined and hold yourself accountable, then the sky's the limit. So, we have plans. We have a future org chart that kind of divvies us out into some divisions, so to say. So we kind of we're so close knit. We only have 24 people right now, but to expand into having a whole sales department and a whole field production and somebody overseeing that, is what we have in mind, is what we have kind of projected. We also have 2 children that have been in the industry for 8 years now, and they're homeschooled, or we like to call office schooled. And so they see a lot of the interactions and the inner workings of our business, and they have a desire to step in and kind of carry on the torch. So we have a lot planned for the future, for sure.
That's so awesome. I love that, being able to make a company basically from scratch in 2017 to then making a multi-generational, something that you can hand on is so cool.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So this has all been great. I love this, talk. And of course, we talk all the time, but we need to pause here in between, right now in our lightning round, just for a little message from our sponsor, who, by the way, is roofingsites.com.
Okay.
roofingsites.com. Since 2018, roofingsites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to roofingsites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Okay, and we are back for the lightning round. Okay, lightning round is pretty simple. You have 1 minute or less to answer each of these questions. Since you have two of you, I'm going to let each of you answer 1 minute each here at the most. All right, does that sound good?
Okay. Yep.
All right. Okay, so here we go. All right, and I'm gonna start with you, Mellisa. Okay, so Mellisa, what is your favorite personal hack? This could be a book, could be a podcast, anything goes because we're Roofer Growth Hacks.
I would probably say I'm really new to podcasts. I know I have a minute and I'm really bad about that, but I'm new to podcast, so I don't really have a podcast per se, but I know that yours has great resources and it is one that I have definitely added. But I would probably say the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, just because it gives different perspectives of two different ways of living and what success looks like.
That is awesome, Mellisa. Okay, so James, you're up next. What is your favorite personal hack?
I guess just be competitive. Never hurts to be competitive. I never want to be number two in what I'm doing. Always want to be number one. So
Love that.
I think that push it through. Make it happen.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. Okay, next question, Mellisa. You're up next. What is your favorite business hack? Again, this could be a book, podcast, video, YouTube channel, whatever. Anything goes here.
Okay. I'm going to go back with a book because part of our business coaching is reading a lot of books. Yeah. I would probably say Surrounded by Idiots was one of the ones that really was an eye opener to me. That's written by Thomas Erickson, but he provides the 4 key behavioral profiles and how to recognize those profiles and how to communicate with them. And it really just opens up your perspective on communicating with a person on how they receive it.
Love that. That's pretty awesome. I'll have to add that to my own, bookshelf back here. Awesome. Okay, James, what is your favorite business hack? Again, anything goes here.
I think long time ago I heard the saying, early to bed, early to rise, work, and advertise. I think that just rings true for any successful business. Nothing good happens after 10 anyway, so you might as well go to bed. That allows you to get up early enough and work your tail off. Yep. The goal is to eventually not have to work your tail off. Yep. So
yep,
100%. You're gonna have to advertise.
100% on that one. Okay. Next question, Mellisa. What is the best advice that you've ever been given? And by the way, you get bonus points for if you tell us how you actually applied it.
Oh, okay. Well, this one I would probably say we do it, we would respond together. Never say we're not busy. That's some advice that's been given to us in the past. It kind of goes back to the law of attraction. If you say that you're not busy, then that's kind of what you bring and you become not busy. So kind of thinking the opposite of that is some advice. Did you want to?
Yeah, I think to chime in on that. People want to deal with somebody who's happy and upbeat. Somebody's got a project. They don't want this to be your last ditch effort to make something happen. So, if you're busy, they're in line, they know they're going to get the next space in line. I think it's important to be busy. And since we've never said we're not busy, we've never not been busy.
Love that.
Even
That's
through
awesome.
We have ups and downs in our industry, a slow time and a busy time. So we've been fortunate to be busy during the slow time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Super cool. Awesome. Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, Mellisa and James, thank you so much for coming on. How can the Roofer Growth Hacks family get in touch with you? How can we support and encourage you moving forward?
Well, I would probably say we are a business about connections and building relationships. We have a lot of lasting relationships with our supplier and things like that, other businesses, local businesses in the community. So just being able to connect with other business owners, that share a passion and growth and service, and finding ways that we can better just to support through additional knowledge and learning experiences that other people have, experienced that maybe we haven't. So that's how we could help, or how other people could help us.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you all so much for coming on Roofer Growth Hacks. We really appreciate you sharing your story, sharing all of these great bits of advice. I mean, you even taught me something here today. So thank you all so much.
Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Well, how about that, roofers? Was that pretty awesome or what? I know that I wrote down a ton of things in my notebook, and I have a lot of great takeaways. Here are just a few of them. All right. Number one, I was so impressed how James and Mellisa hired a business coach really early on, right? It takes a lot of guts to hire a coach, but when you know that you're stuck in one thing or another, it's best to hire someone that can help you get unstuck. Okay. And that's what it sounded like this business coach did for them. Now, here was the biggest part of that, though, that makes a good coaching really successful, is that one, you've got to test and measure. They talked about this. Make sure that you're measuring everything, because what you focus on improves. Okay. So if you're measuring something and it's not improving, it's not moving towards your goals, then you have to test something else out in order to get you towards your goals. Okay. Accountability was the other piece to that. It is so hard. I mean, us entrepreneurs are sitting out on islands by ourselves, right? And the only person holding us accountable really is ourselves. Okay. However, if we have coaching in place, possibly a peer group in place, right, then we have a little bit more accountability built in. Okay. With them, it sounds like it's a biweekly. They meet biweekly, which is cool. And he assigns them homework. If they don't do it, then he asks, why didn't they do it? Right. So, and of course things get in the way, especially when we go into busy seasons of life, busy seasons of our actual business. It's hard to ensure that everything is getting taken care of, but a good business coach can sit back and say, hey, you're missing this one piece that's causing this over here. That's, limiting you from growth. So I think that was pretty cool. The other really cool thing that I thought was when I asked them, what was the hardest thing that you did, right? That you had to do that was assigned by the coach, and it was the back end paperwork. Documenting your processes. Honestly, I mean, I've struggled with that for the past 20 years with my businesses, and it's so important to do, and everybody realizes how important it is to do. But you've got to do it. Okay. If you want to grow, you have to have systems in place, and those should be documented so that when someone leaves, you just simply hire someone else to come in and take care of those things. Okay. And to be able to fast track that learning process. Now, the other thing that I wrote down was the biggest thing that they did early on, right? That moved them, that propelled them forward, was having back office staff, right? That first hire, if you're a smaller roofing company, your first hire, right, is most likely needing to be this back office person, okay, that is handling your phone calls, okay, because you're too busy to take those phone calls. She, and I say she, but it could be a he, is handling those phone calls. That person probably would also be in charge of creating the estimates, possibly be in charge of following up after the fact, after those estimates are sent out. Okay. The other part that they said was they had, back office staff, estimators, and sales staff now, right? And depending on where you at in your growth is really where you need for each of those pieces. Okay. So let's say, for instance, you have back office staff and you have sales staff, but your back office person isn't able to get the estimates out on a timely fashion. Guess what? You probably need an estimator, or you need to teach the sales staff how to do those estimates. Or maybe it's vice versa, is that your sales staff is too busy to get to doing the estimates. Okay. Then you either need to train that back office person to do that, or hire an estimator. Okay. So anyways, it's that I got a lot out of that right there. Really just fine tuning. Okay. Well, you're successful. How are you so successful in order to get to where you're at? Okay. And that was the biggest thing. And I loved, by the way, where Mellisa said, never say we're not busy because you always should be busy. Okay. If you're not busy doing the work, you should be busy getting the work. Okay. And so I highly recommend that you just don't tell yourself that you're not busy. Tell yourself that you're busy all the time. Okay. Because that's the other part of all of that. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, roofingsites.com. Since 2018, roofingsites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to roofingsites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Also, this past year, I published my book, The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. If you're a roofing company owner and you don't have this book in your hands, I will send you a free digital copy. Just go to go.roofingsites.com and I'll send you a free copy of my book. Well, roofers, join me next time when we connect with another great roofing entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter. Thanks and gig 'em.